So this video is going to build off the example that we did in Chapter 5 notes on page 171, and it will show you how to use your calculator to compute binomial probabilities. So this example, we had 6 children and in a family, and we were assuming there was a 25% chance that a child could be a carrier of a particular mutation. And we assumed the children were independent, and we were first interested in what the probability was that exactly 2 of the children would carry the mutated gene. Okay, so we decided we'd use the binomial distribution because we're counting a binary outcome, so either a mutation or not. We assumed the children were independent. We were counting up 6 of them, so we had a fixed number of children. And we were assuming that 25% chance of carrying a mutation was constant. So we had our BINS, so that acronym was all satisfied. So for our calculations, we had X being our count, so the number of children that were carriers. We had 6, so N was 6, the total number we were counting, and our P was 0.25. And so in class, we had gone through and computed this quantity here using our formula for our binomial probabilities. And what I wanted to do is show you how to use your calculator to go straight from what's the probability that X equals 2 and verify this 0.297. So you're going to go to your calculator, and if you look above the VARS key, you'll see DISTR. So that stands for distribution. And so we want to compute a probability for the binomial distribution. So to get that, you need to do your second key and then hit VARS. And we need to page down. So we're going to go all the way down with our arrow key until we get to, so we're computing a probability, and we want the binom P, so P for probability. You'll see that on the notes sheet, to compute the probability for a single value. So I'm going to push enter on that. And the order they want you to enter things is first N. So I have an N of 6, and I'm going to put a comma. And then P, so your probability. So my P is 0.25. And then what you're computing the probability of. So this is the probability that X equals 2. So I'll put 2N. I'm going to close my parentheses. And so when I press enter, that gives me my 0.297. So we had rounded up. So that computes this whole quantity here. And so on your notes sheet, you will see that I've got that computed out, and then Binomcdf is what we used. So the second question that was asked was, what's the probability that you had 2 or fewer? So if you look at that, that's the probability that X is less than or equal to 2. And so in class, we had broken it up and had 3 groups compute. So X equals 0, X equals 1, and then we added that to X equals 2. Right, so we're computing a cumulative probability. Okay, so I'm going to scoot that up for us. So to do that, we can use our calculator again, and we're going to go back to the distribution. So I'm going to hit second and the VARS key, and then page down, and instead of selecting binom P, we're going to select Binomcdf, so for cumulative. So we want the probabilities added up cumulatively up to that X and including that X. So I'm highlighting on that. I'm going to press enter. And then it's the same order. So I'm going to put in N, which is 6, my probability, which is 0.25. And I want the probability up to and including 2. So I'm going to enter that. So that will then compute the probability that X is 0, that X is 1, and X is 2, and it will add all those together. And so from class, that's what we had come up with, so 0.831. Okay, so both of these are good to know to be able to check what your calculations are. The other thing that might be helpful for you, so if you're computing factorials, you can get to that through your math button. So let's say I wanted 5 factorial. So I hit 5. If I go to math and I go over, so I'm using my right arrow key to PROB, PRB, and I go down using my down arrow key to 4, that will actually get me a factorial. So 5 factorial, if I enter, that comes up to be 120. And if you really want to get fancy, so this numeric quantity right here in front of my probabilities, so the n factorial divided by the x factorial times n minus x factorial. So this whole quantity can be calculated with one function in your calculator. So let's do this for 6, and so n equals 6, and here x was 2. I'm going to start with 6. I'm going to go through math again. So math, I'm going to go right to get to PRB, and it's this. So we talked about that being a combinatorial. So it's this NCR. So I'm going to page down to 3, hit enter, and then so I'm choosing 2 out of the 6. So 6, the number. So it's these number out of 6, and then I'm going to push enter. Right? And so if we want to check that, so 6 factorial divided by, so x factorial goes on the bottom, and then that's times n minus x, so that was our 4 factorial. Right, so that is the quantity that goes in the front of my probability calculation right here. So this expression here is exactly the same as this calculation right here by your calculator. Right, so that actually comes up to 15. So it's just something extra if you want to kind of abbreviate some of your calculations. And that is it. So this handout will be up on our website, and hopefully that'll help you check out some of your calculations.